Hello everyone, I'm Anas Al-Ubaidi, and this is session 27 or lecture 27 within chapter 24 of the Advanced Medical Science Liaison and Medical Monitor Certification course program by CCRPS. The chapter is about conceptual and theoretical monitoring, while the topic for the session is about monitoring of drug permission and drug consent interaction trials. Introduction. Monitoring drug permission trials and drug consent interaction trials is a critical component of clinical research, ensuring the ethical and legal participation of study subjects. These trials focus on how patient permission obtained through informed consent aligns with legal frameworks and bioethical principles. They protect participant autonomy, maintain regulatory compliance, and reduce errors or bias associated with invalid or incomplete consent. Key points. We'll start with the accuracy of consent or accuracy of informed consent. Importance accurate informed consent ensures that participants fully understand the key elements of the trial, such as objectives, potential risks, benefits, and available alternatives, are empowered to make informed decisions about their participation without coercion. And here's a summarized diagram on ensuring accurate informed consent. We have simplified documents, cultural sensitivity, comprehension checks. Methods. Simplified consent documents. Use lay-friendly language to present trial information concisely. As for example, a tuberculosis, a TB study used clear multilingual or multilingual consent forms supplemented with verbal explanations to address literacy barriers. Comprehension checks verify participant understanding through quizzes or interactive discussions after the consent form is presented. Cultural sensitivity tailor consent processes to align with cultural values and norms in diverse populations. Challenges here. The language and literacy barriers in global trials. And another challenge, misinterpretation or oversight of key trial components by participants. The outcome accurate consent ensures participants are genuinely, genuinely, genuine, genuinely informed, reducing the likelihood of disputes, withdrawals, or ethical violations. Ethical considerations here. The importance as ethical adherence ensures participant rights and welfare are prioritized by respecting autonomy, beneficence, non-maleficence, and justice. The main four, as these are the four main or four common, four most important aspects or concepts uh, or components of the ethical standards in clinical trial and even in medical healthcare overall. So trials align with core bioethical principles. Techniques here, ethics board approval. All consent processes must be independently reviewed and approved by an ethics committee or institutional review board, IRB. As for example, a pediatric epilepsy drug trial introduced audiovisual aids alongside proxy consent forms for minors to ensure ethical approval and comprehension by families. Example, a pediatric epilepsy drug trial introduced audio, same example, duplicate, audio visual aids alongside proxy consent forms for minors to ensure ethical approval and comprehension by families. Reconsenting procedures for trials with extended durations, regular reconsenting processes ensure participants remain informed about changes in risks or benefits. As for example, participants in a multi-year Alzheimer's study were reconsented annually using updated safety information. The challenges here are addressing the needs of vulnerable populations such as minors, individuals with cognitive impairments, or economically disadvantaged communities without compromising ethical standards. The outcome here thoroughly monitored ethical frameworks, enhanced participant welfare, and maintained the legitimacy of the trial's data integrity. Regulatory compliance, and here is a diagram summarizing the regulatory compliance in clinical trials as from top to bottom, outcome, challenges, um, example of a vaccine trial, audit trails, ICH GCP guidelines, importance of compliance. So the importance here, as we start here in the diagram, bottom to top, importance of compliance. I see HGCP guidelines, audit trails, example of vaccine trial, challenges, outcome, and then outcome. So the importance here for regulatory compliance, adhering to legal frameworks ensures that all consent interactions are documented, standardized, and validated to meet national and international requirements. Standards here ICH International Council for Harmonizations, Good Clinical Practice, ICH GCP guidelines mandate comprehensive documentation of consent interactions. Audit trails maintain detailed logs including timestamps and e-signatures to ensure each aspect of the consent process is verifiable. Example, a vaccine trial added a secure electronic audit trail to record re-consent sessions when long-term side effects emerged post-initial consent. The challenges here, evolving regulatory requirements necessitate timely updates to consent procedures, ensuring another challenge here, ensuring consistency in multi-center and international trials. The outcome regulatory compliance fosters transparency and safeguards the approval process, allowing trials to proceed without procedural interruptions. We have steps to effective monitoring. First, we have this diagram summarizing the consent monitoring process. SOPs developed, then staff trained real-time verification, very simple left to right. But the steps here, we have step one, planning, define consent objectives, identify key areas needing monitoring, such as understanding rates and withdrawal metrics. Develop SOPs, site or standard operation procedures. Establish structured standard operating procedures to guide consent processes. Example, cardiac device study developed SOPs to include comprehension, milestones, tests, post-consent document disclosures. Step 2, execution. After planning, training, equip the site staff with the training on consent protocols, focusing on ethical considerations and cultural nuances. Real-time verification, digitalized consent collection to ensure completion before prior to participants proceed to the um, uh, trial. Example, a chronic pain relief trial utilized a dashboard to verify consent completion in real time, addressing errors or bias immediately. Data review after execution. After the execution, monitor trends, identify issues such as unexpected withdrawal rates linked to misunderstandings in consent processes. Example, a psoriasis trial used data trend analysis to detect inconsistencies in consent documentation at one trial site. Reporting, step 4, generate reports as to submit compliance reports to regulators, summarizing findings and resolutions from consent monitoring. Recommend actions, address gaps in consent processes through targeted interventions. Example, a diabetes trial initiated training for staff after finding inconsistencies in reconsent forms during protocol updates. Outcome, adopting a structured monitoring approach ensures that consent processes meet ethical, legal, and procedural requirements across diverse study populations. Tools and techniques for monitoring. Here is a diagram on monitoring tools and techniques in trials. Start implement monitoring tools from top. Here we have ethical review frameworks, establish ethics panels, evaluate consent processes, monitor compliance, and then example antidepressant trial audits. Here we have consent management systems, centralized and digitalized consent, real-time accessibilities, and then as for example, asthma trial tools and techniques for monitoring consent management systems, centralized and digitalized consent documentation to minimize errors and ensure real-time accessibility. Example, an asthma trial used an app for electronic consent collection, which integrated videos explaining study risks, ethical review frameworks, established structured ethics, panels to evaluate consent processes and monitor ongoing compliance. Example, an antidepressant trial relied on independent ethics audits to ensure transparency in reconsenting practices. Data visualization tools use dashboards to display consent compliance patterns across all study sites. Example, a CNS, Central Nervous System drug trial, identified high withdrawal rates through a visualization tool highlighting inconsistent consent practices at specific locations. Real-time analytics platforms validate consent collection and completion as it happens, avoiding delays or errors. Example, a global vaccine trial tracked progress on consent processes across geographically dispersed regions in real time. Patient education tools, interactive videos, animations, and infographics help convey complex medical information effectively. Example, a schizophrenia drug trial deployed educational materials to clearly explain risks leading to higher participant understanding. The outcome here in the incorporation of advanced tools ensures consent compliance, ethical adherence, and patient understanding across all trial stages. Example of successful monitoring in clinical research: HIV treatment trial. Issue miscommunication about follow-ups that caused participant withdrawals. Solution was implemented annual refresher consent sessions, boosting retention rates. Stroke therapy study. Issue was elderly participants struggled with overly technical jargon in consent forms. Solution was simplified consent language tailored to the target population. COVID-19 vaccine trial. Issue was consent recording inconsistencies, delayed regulatory submissions. Solution standardized electronic consent systems enable global consistency. The income here, continuous monitoring of consent processes ensures ethical research practices, participant safety, and trial credibility. And here's uh, diagram summarizing the enhancements in clinical trial monitoring, identify issue, implement solution, achieve outcome, left to right. Summary tables. Next, we have tables to summarize what we have covered through this lecture, as here a table on key differences between drug permission and drug consent introduction trials, as there is a comparison between both of the drug permission and drug consent introduction trials for each aspect: definition, purpose, regulatory standards, process, scope, and example. Table on key components of monitoring in drug permission and consent component focus. Example, components, consent accuracy, ethical oversight, regulatory compliance, ongoing consent withdrawal analysis. Table on tools and techniques for monitoring drug permission and consent, tool technique purpose. Example, tools techniques, we have consent management systems, ethical review panels, data visualization dashboards, real-time analytics platforms, and patient engagement tools. Table on steps to effective monitoring in drug permission and drug consent trials. Step focus examples. Steps we have defining objectives, training site staff, data review, ethical audit, and then reporting. Table on real world applications of drug permission and consent monitoring, trial scenario, purpose, outcome. So trials or scenarios. We have cancer therapy trials, stroke therapy study, COVID-19 vaccine trials, pediatric epilepsy drug, schizophrenia drug study. Application table scenario for each scenario, key principle applied, key actions, timeline, what to watch out for. We have providing bilingual consent for global TB trial, introducing proxy consents for minors in pediatric epilepsy drug trial, adding an audit trail for reconsent following the discovery of potential long-term vaccine side effects, testing participant comprehension after the consent process in a cardiac device study, real-time consent validation in a chronic pain relief drug trial, reviewing withdrawal trends for a pre-psoriasis trial where participants misunderstood study durations, submitting compliance reports for a diabetes trial where reconsent was required, during protocol changes using apps for electronic signatures and as an asthma medication trial, deploying independent ethical review panels for antidepressant trial, consent updates, identifying regional consent compliance gaps in a central nervous system drug trial with data visualization tools. Next, we will revise what we have covered through this lecture through some multiple choice questions or MCQs. Question 1. What is the primary purpose of informed consent in clinical trials? A. To ensure participants understand study risks and benefits. B. To facilitate faster recruitment timelines. C. To comply with manufacturing standards. Or D. To improve statistical analysis outcomes. Definitely, it's A, as to ensure participants understand study risks and benefits, as the accuracy of informed consent is crucial to ensuring that participants fully understand the risks, benefits, and objectives of the study, protecting their rights and autonomy. Question 2. Which method can improve the accuracy of informed consent in diverse populations? A. Auditing recruitment strategies. B. Using multilingual consent forms and verbal explanations. C. Increasing the use of technical jargon in consent documents. Or D. Eliminating comprehension checks for after consent completion. Definitely, it's B, as using multilingual consent forms and verbal explanations. As multilingual consent forms and verbal explanations in local languages help overcome language barriers and ensure clear understanding for participants from diverse backgrounds. Question 3. What is the role of ethical considerations in consent monitoring? A, to ensure adherence to bioethical principles like autonomy and justice. B, to automate documentation of consent forms. C, to increase trial sample size for broader studies. D, to reduce trial costs by identifying high-risk participants early. The answer is A, to ensure adherence to bioethical principles like autonomy and justice, as ethical considerations ensure clinical trials adhere to principles such as autonomy, beneficence, and justice, protecting vulnerable populations and maintaining integrity. Question 4. Which tool is effective for tracking consent compliance in geographically dispersed trial sites? A. Real-time analytics platforms. B. Manual consent documentation logs. C. Statistical modeling software. Or D. Patient education brochures. Definitely it's A. Real-time analytics platforms. Real-time analytics platforms allow trial administrators to monitor consent completion rates in geographically dispersed locations, ensuring compliance at all sites. Question 5. Why is reconsent important in long-term trials? A. To confirm ongoing participant understanding of new risks or protocol changes. B. To eliminate the need for follow-up education tools. C. To minimize participant dropout while extending trial timelines. Or D. To track demographic formation for regulatory submissions. Definitely it's A, as to confirm ongoing participant understanding of new risks or protocol changes, as reconsent ensures participants stay informed about new risks, benefits, or trial changes, maintaining ethical and legal compliance throughout the trial. And here we come to end of this lecture. Thank you very much and goodbye.